Up first tonight is a far-reaching story that comes from a very small room in Plymouth.
That's right, Julie. Long before I got into producing television news segments, I was involved in music and news radio. It started at my high school radio station, then my college station, before I moved on to several different music and news stations from Providence to Boston. Each place I worked at was either owned by a national corporation or eventually bought out by one. This got me wondering how many radio stations are out there that are still operating under their original ownership.
Well, we found one right here in Plymouth. And if your commute takes you down Route 3 past Exit 7, you've probably seen it every day.
Here in Plymouth, you'll find one of the oldest family-owned commercial radio stations around. And with only a handful of them left in the state, where most stations have gone under corporate ownership, that's pretty impressive. It's impossible not to see their 480-foot towers from the highway, but chances are you've never been to the actual broadcast facility. You may not have even known that these towers belong to one of the South Shore's longest-serving adult contemporary radio stations.
Being under a corporate umbrella, you're subject to a more broad view of things, whereas something that's locally owned like this, and it's a family-owned station that's been around since the 50s, you're able to keep things in these four walls and really get to perfect your craft, and the people that are in control are in the building rather than somebody that's outside the building miles away that really don't have a pulse on what's going on in this particular community. So there's more control here, and there's more attention to the details of what goes on in this area, in this part of the country.
Scott Renish hosts the always popular Back in the Day Easy Cafe, which runs from noon to 1 weekdays, and is a real throwback to the old style of radio, where people called in requests and they actually get played.
The Back in the Day Easy Cafe, the point of the show is to present people music that they haven't heard a zillion times, but makes a connection with them. And one of the things that the listeners have said the most since that show's been on the air is, I would never think of these songs on my own, but you play them and it's like going into a time machine, and I can remember buying the 45 or my parents listened to that song over and over again, and no one else is doing that. Not to mention the amount of, and you could say friends, that you come to know just by the interaction on the radio. Now, I don't know a lot of the listeners personally, or any of them for that matter, but I still know them. I know where they work. I know when they listen, why they listen.
And this is what 50,000 watts of power looks like. Probably not what you might have expected, but that's the beauty of radio. This place might look like someone's humble home, but it sounds like one of the big city stations. And why shouldn't they? Here's a little fun fact. Not too long ago, I worked for a company out of Boston that provided traffic reports, and I used to be the guy that was making your ride home easy on the Easy 99.1 Road Show. Well, a couple of things have changed. I don't work in Boston anymore, and apparently the station is doing just fine without me. WPLM's AM signal signed on in August of 1955, and the FM in June of 1961. Until the mid-90s, this was the big band station. Since 1997, it's been the adult contemporary station that you hear now.
You know, when I was a kid, before I even got into radio, I would drive down Route 3 and see the four towers and be fascinated by it. Little did I know I'd be the program director at such a heritage station years later. But yeah, the more you're out in the community and the more you make that one-on-one connection, one listener at a time, the more people are going to follow you around and really listen to what you're doing and the music that you're presenting and the family atmosphere that it is. And because it's a family-owned radio station, it's been in the community for so long, I think people feel a sense of community and a sense of comfortableness when they listen to us.
Reporting from WPLM, I'm Brian Sullivan for PCN Life.
99.1.
Hey, Scott.
Hello there.